a tough balancing act. Mr. Anderson, do you have a thought on that?
You know, personally, I think that economic development enhances quality of life. If you don't have enough jobs for people to do, I mean, you either have to drive to another place in order to find work, or you have to move. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it's, I believe that economic development does create quality of life. As far as preservation, I think everybody in here can appreciate what Ryan Thomas has done with Oakley Avenue. That street was going down the tubes. I mean, it was really bad, and he has taken that about a 2 or 3 block area and remodeled buildings and brought small business in, and they're thriving down there. My shop is pretty close to there, so I've been able to watch it. And I think it's a great thing. As far as on Overland Avenue, it's really difficult. There are some businesses like the Child's World, which is a gorgeous building that's been refurbished and very nice, but the problem you have downtown, like on Overland, is you have lots of traffic and you have no parking. I mean, you can go out to the box stores and people will walk 100 yards to go in there. If they can see the front door, they'll walk in. But downtown, if they have to walk around the corner, they can't see the store, they won't go there. So the issue with that would be to maybe take some of the less desirable buildings and maybe remove them and make parking areas so that there would actually be places for people to go to park that would be closer to the place they want to go to.
Thank you. I'll shift to more. Mr. Goulet?
Yes, I just wanted to comment. You know, when you come to Burley and you get off at the main exit, which would be the, you know, right Overland exit, you know, when you drive across the river, you know, the thing that when I first moved over here, the thing that struck me was, you know, on the south side was concrete that had been pushed over into the river, and I thought, how unsightly. Riverfront property is the most desirable property there is. And I realize there's no easy answer to this, so let's make sure that we get that clear. But that would be so nice to somehow solve that problem. And I realize that it's not as easy, of course. But, you know, when you come into the city and you drive across this brand new beautiful bridge and you look to the right, and you know, we have our parks, and then of course the
Mr. Goulet, let me cut you off just for fear of having to give equal time here, and let me bogart the time for just a minute. Right, when you pull into Twin Falls, coming from out of town, the first thing you see are great big dairies right on the side of the road, and not only do you see it, you smell it. And then you come into the new part of Twin Falls, the mall, and that's similar to Burley. And then you come into the old town, the original town site. And so you've had growth, and you have a kind of a new part of a town, and you have an old part of the town, and reconciling those is something that's the same in every city in the United States of America. I'm interested in what you're going to do here to my hometown. More pragmatic questions. Well, what do you see, Mr. Dexter? That's Mr. Dexter's turn. As the primary role of a city councilman, this is a question from the audience. What do you believe is the most important part of the role you might play? What is the role of the councilman, and what would you do to fulfill that role?
Depending upon the assignments that you are given, depending, for instance, with the law enforcement committee or the economic planning committees, things like that, oftentimes what you are is a spokesperson to the rest of the council. And I would assume that all of us would continue making that attempt to be the best participant in those various groups. again, we still have to look at the economy right now, and we're still going to have to make sure that we are living within our budget.
Thank you. Mr. Goulet, what's the role of the councilman, and what would be your contribution to that role?
Well, what our real role is how our money is spent and to set policy. And that's what we're supposed to do. But you see, you know, if we love our community, we'll reach out and do more. And like I said, you know, I just think that if we, well, I just keep repeating the same things, and that isn't going to help. So, in essence, we do our job, and we watch our budget, but do our best for as much as we can for our people to make sure that they feel comfortable and that things are as good as they can be for them. We can make our city, again, like I'm saying, as attractive as possible, and try to communicate where situations maybe there was a misunderstanding, and there needs to be clarification, and maybe there needs to be phone calls made, you know, diplomatic phone calls that will ease tension, and we can get on with things, because you know what, it's not a big deal, these things, and I don't mean to keep harping on them, but I'm saying, you know, I don't get along with my wife every day either. I don't. So, you know what? I still love her. And, you know, everything, we can forgive each other and get on down the road and get something accomplished.
My apologies, Mr. Goulet, for the poor question, which suggests a kind of redundancy, putting you over old ground. We're going to go to new ground here presently. Mr. Hanson, the role of a councilman, you've been in that role, and how do you effectively play it?
I think that the council, by design, is made up of 6 men or women who come from diverse backgrounds, and the more diverse, the better. I think that each of us has a role as an advisor or a consultant that is our primary function. We are there to oversee the general operation of the city in a business sense, in a planning sense. We have the legislative role, but I see it as advisor, consultant role. And the funnest part for me would be as a cheerleader, in some sense. When I was in college, I was a cheerleader, and you know, we were always cheering for our team. And it's easy to get wrapped up in the negativity. It's easy to complain, especially when you're on the outside. And I think that we have to cheer each other on and cheer for our city and look for the good things that are very evident around us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McGill?
I see my role as a city councilman as that of a representative of the citizens of Burley. And given our system of management of the city, we have a city administration that does a great job. I also see my job as being a watchdog of that administration, and that's not in a negative sense. My job as a city councilman is also that of spokesman and policymaker for the city, and to be open to input from the citizenry. But from my perspective, that is my job, and that's how I've handled the job as city councilman. To ask questions, I believe it's imperative that the bills against the city are looked at, and if questions are there, you ask them. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. It's simply gaining knowledge and then following up to see if it's legitimate, which mostly are, but it's interesting that the things that go on that you don't know if you don't ask questions. So that's the job.
Very good.